One brief clip would set off a chain of deadly events. It's dated March 8, 2024. A luxury event venue downtown. It's a charity gala. The camera looks out over a grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers hanging overhead, guests dressed to the nines, a live orchestra playing softly in the background. And then, right there in the middle of the dance floor, you notice them. An elderly woman wearing a champagne-colored silk gown. A young black man in a tailored tuxedo. They're moving together slowly, gently, like the rest of the room doesn't exist. At one point, he leans down and kisses her. In the background, a few people stop what they're doing and stare. Some look shocked. Others look uncomfortable. A few look almost amazed. That 10-second clip was pulled from the venue's security system and sent to two men who watched it with pure anger. Less than 10 days later, the young man in that video would be dead, dumped and buried in the woods. The elderly woman would pass away believing he had walked out of her life for money. And when the real story finally came out, it didn't just ruin lives, it wiped out an entire family. Over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how a quiet moment of affection turned into a key piece of evidence in a murder conspiracy. April 10, 2024. At 6:34 a.m., a deer hunter named Hank Brewer. Scott is moving through thick woods about 40 miles outside the city. He notices something off, soil that looks recently disturbed, branches stacked in a way nature wouldn't do on its own. Curiosity pulls him closer. Then the smell hits him. He spots part of a hand sticking out of the ground, skin darkened and decomposing. He doesn't hesitate. He calls 911. Police arrive at 7:18 a.m. They begin digging and uncover a body. Male. Late 20s. Athletic build. Investigators estimate he's been there for about 4 weeks. Some of the clothing is still recognizable. A gym shirt. By noon, dental records confirm his identity. Malik Brent. 29 years old. He'd been reported missing on March 20th. The last confirmed sighting was March 18th. The truth was, he'd been lying in those woods the entire time police were supposedly searching for him. The autopsy shows blunt force trauma along with strangulation. There are defensive wounds on his hands. This wasn't an accident. This was murder. Most people assume something like this is random violence. That's wrong. This story is about Eleanor Carlisle. Carlisle, a 76-year-old widow worth $5.8 million, who fell in love with a 29-year-old personal trainer. It's about two sons who decided their mother's happiness mattered less than their inheritance. It's about a bribe that was turned down and a lie that ended 2 lives. But if you want to understand why Malik Turner ended up dead in those woods, you first need to understand who he was. Malik Turner was 29 years old. He worked as a personal trainer at Iron Gate Fitness. 6'2". Athletic. The kind of guy people noticed when he walked into a room. He grew up in foster care and never knew his parents. When he turned 18, he aged out of the system and was completely on his own. At 25, he married his high school sweetheart, Marissa Scott. 6 months later, she was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She passed away in October of 2021. She was only 27. Malik barely survived the year that followed. He drowned himself in work, training clients, staying busy, pushing his body to exhaustion, because standing still meant letting the grief catch him. And then there was Eleanor Carlisle. Carlisle. She was 76. A wealthy widow. Her husband, Thomas Scott, had died suddenly of a heart attack in 2020 after 51 years of marriage. She had 2 sons, Gregory, 52, and Marissa Scott, 49. Both lived close by. Neither came around much. Maybe once every few months, if that. In 2022, Eleanor told her friend Linda Scott, when Thomas Scott died. I thought my sons would start checking on me. Instead, they vanished. I'm too alone, she said. And they're too busy. That sentence would be read aloud in court 2 years later. In August of 2022, Eleanor suffered a minor stroke. Her doctor advised physical therapy and light exercise. So in September, she joined Irongate Fitness. She had never set foot in a gym before. But she needed something, anything, to get her out of her quiet, empty house. In October 2022, Eleanor was working with a trainer named Paula Scott in the senior fitness section. One Wednesday morning, she noticed him. Ryan. He was across the gym, training another client. Eleanor stopped in the middle of her exercise. Because Malik wasn't just handsome. He was beautiful. She watched him for about 30 seconds, then caught herself and felt embarrassed. She was 74. He was probably in his 20s. What was she even thinking? Still, she couldn't help but notice him again. And again. Every session. By November, Margaret's recovery was complete. She didn't need to keep coming anymore. But she did. On December 7, 2022, she dropped her water bottle. It rolled out of the senior area toward the main floor. Malik picked it up and handed it back to her. "You're doing great, by the way," he said. "I've seen you working with Paula Scott. You're really consistent." They introduced themselves. Ryan. Margaret. It was maybe 30 seconds of conversation. But Eleanor drove home that day feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Scene. Over the next few weeks, a routine formed. Malik would say hello. Ask how she was doing. Just small talk. Nothing serious. But steady. Eleanor learned he was 28. He'd been a trainer for 4 years. He grew up nearby. He kept his personal life close to the chest. Always professional. Always kind. By January 2023, Margaret's sessions with Paula Scott ended. She was fully recovered. Still, she didn't want to stop coming. She approached Malik one morning and asked if he was taking on new clients for personal training. He looked surprised. "I mostly train athletes," he said. "High-intensity stuff." "I'd like to work with you," she told him. "If you're willing." There was something vulnerable in her voice. Malik agreed to try a session and see how it went. They scheduled it for Monday, January 23. For their first workout, Malik designed a program suited to her age: light resistance, core work, flexibility. They trained together for an hour. At the end, he asked how she felt. "Wonderful," Eleanor said, and she meant it. They began meeting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Over the next month, they talked more and more. Between sets. During rest breaks. Eleanor told him about Thomas Scott, how they met, how he built his business, how he died without warning. Malik listened. Truly listened. One Friday in February, Eleanor finally asked about his life. Malik hesitated. "There's not much to tell," he said. "I work. That's about it." "No family?" she asked. "Foster care," he said. "Never knew my parents. No siblings." Eleanor felt her chest tighten. "And now?" she asked softly. "Do you have anyone?" Malik went quiet. Then he said it. "I had a wife. She died 2 years ago. Cancer. She was 27. "Oh, Ryan," Eleanor said. "I'm so sorry." Her name was Marissa Scott. They'd met in high school. Married young. She was diagnosed 6 months after the wedding. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She died in 2021. Something changed after that conversation. They weren't just a trainer and a client anymore. They were two people who understood what it meant to lose everything. February turned into March. March slipped into April. They saw each other 3 times a week. And their conversations kept getting deeper. That's when Eleanor started talking about her sons. She told me about her sons in pieces, never all at once. How they used to be close when they were younger. How things changed after they married. Especially Gregory's wife, Valerie. Scott, who had always kept her at arm's length. Polite, but cold. Distant. Eleanor said she hardly ever saw her grandchildren anymore. Holidays came and went. Birthdays passed. Invitations stopped. She told me that the year before, Brent had asked her to invest $300,000 in one of his business ventures. She said no. After that, he didn't speak to her for 3 months. I asked her why she'd refused. Because I wanted him to talk to me for reasons other than money, she said. That stuck with me. I started sharing more too. I told her about Marissa. Scott. About how cancer stole the future we'd planned together. About sitting beside her hospital bed, holding her hand when she took her last breath. About how the grief nearly took me with her. She asked me one day if I still thought about my wife. Every day, I told her. It just hurts differently now. I told her how Marissa. Scott made me promise, right there in that hospital room, that I wouldn't spend the rest of my life alone. By May of 2023, something had shifted. We'd known each other 6 months. We'd been training together for 4. And I could feel it. The way I looked at her. The way my hand lingered on her arm a second too long during exercises. The way I smiled when she walked in. But I also knew it couldn't be real. She was 75. I was 29. 46 years between us. Then one morning in late May, she didn't show up. She texted me instead. Said she wasn't feeling well and needed to take a break from training. I asked her if I'd done something wrong. No, she replied. You didn't do anything wrong. I just need some space. I didn't understand it, but I respected it. I told her to take all the time she needed. She didn't come back the next week. Or the week after that. By the time June rolled around, I finally admitted the truth to myself. Somewhere between the workouts and the conversations, I'd fallen in love with a 75-year-old woman. And I had no idea what to do with that. On June 17, 2023, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I pulled her address from the gym database and drove over. I told myself I just needed to know she was okay. I rang the doorbell. She answered, clearly surprised, her guard already up. What are you doing here? She asked. I needed to make sure you were all right, I said. I'm fine. Then why did you stop coming? She looked at me for a long moment and finally said it. Because I was starting to feel things I shouldn't be feeling. I asked her what kind of things. She shook her head. Ryan, please don't make me say it. I've been feeling the same way, I told her. 4 months. I told her she was kind. That she was funny. That she saw me as a person, not just a trainer. When she stopped coming, something felt missing. She tried to protest. The age difference. What people would think. I don't care what people think, I said. You make me happy. Doesn't that count for something? Her eyes filled with tears. I haven't been happy since Thomas. Scott died, she said. Until I met you. So we decided to try. We kept it quiet at first. Dinners at her house. Movies in her home theater. Walks through her garden in the evenings. Over the summer of 2023, we built something real. I introduced her to my music. She showed me old movies I'd never seen. We cooked together. Talked late into the night. One night in August, we fell asleep on the couch watching a movie. I woke up around 2 in the morning and saw her sleeping peacefully beside me. That was the moment I knew I loved her. Completely. In September, her friend Linda Scott came over for dinner and met me. Afterward, Linda Scott pulled Eleanor aside. "You're really in love with him," she said. Eleanor admitted it. "I can see it, Valerie," Scott told her. "And he loves you too. Just be careful. If your sons find out." Eleanor already knew. And Scott would lose their minds. By October, Eleanor started thinking seriously about her estate. Her will from 2019 split everything evenly between her sons, just under $3 million each. But they hadn't been there for her. Not really. I had. Nearly every day for a year. And I'd never asked her for anything. She'd tried to give me things. Even offered to buy me a car. I refused. I told her I didn't need her money. I just needed her. She met with her attorney, Mason Rourke, about changing the will. He was careful. Had her evaluated by 2 independent doctors. Both concluded the same thing, Eleanor Carlisle. Carlisle was sharp, capable, and fully of sound mind. When she told me about it, my reaction surprised her. "No," I said. "Your sons are still your sons." She said they'd abandoned her. I suggested most of it go to charity instead. Cancer research. In Marissa Scott's name. That way no one could say it was about money. She thought it was beautiful. In February of 2024, she finalized the new will. $500,000 to each son. $500,000 to me. And the rest, over $4 million, to establish the Marissa Scott Turner Memorial Fund for Pancreatic Cancer Research. There was also a clause. If anyone was convicted of a crime related to harming or killing me, their inheritance would be void and redirected to the foundation. She signed it on March 5, 2024. She planned to tell her sons herself on March 10. But before that came the gala. March 8, 2024. The City Children's Benefit Gala. At Harborview Hall. She'd attended for 20 years. This time, she brought me. We'd kept us a secret for nearly a year. But she was tired of hiding. "I'm 76 years old," she told me. "I don't have time to worry about what people think." I was nervous. She wasn't. Here's part 3, rewritten to match the same first-person, conversational voice, with altered structure, clean flow, and controlled pacing so it fits the overall 6000 character goal. When we arrive at the venue, it's exactly what you'd expect. Elegant. Bright. Packed with hundreds of well-dressed people drifting through the room with drinks in hand. And people notice us immediately. A 76-year-old woman walking in arm with a stunning 29-year-old black man tends to draw attention. Heads turn. Conversations pause. Whispers start traveling across the room. Eleanor tightens her grip on my arm and keeps walking. We mingle. She introduces me the same way every time. "This is Malik Turner," she says. "My partner." Some people smile politely. Some freeze for half a second too long. One woman excuses herself mid-conversation and walks away without hiding it. Eventually, the orchestra starts playing something slow. I guide Eleanor toward the dance floor. She rests her hand on my shoulder, and we sway together, easy and close. She looks like she's floating. Like the weight she's carried for years has lifted, just for this moment. I look down at her and think she's beautiful. Not in spite of her age. Because of who she is. Elegant. Alive. Happy. "I love you," I whisper. It's the first time either of us has said it out loud. "I love you too," she says. We kiss. Soft. Unhurried. All around us, people watch. A few smile. Most don't. High in the corner of the ballroom, a security camera records 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. 2 people dancing. 1 gentle kiss. 10 seconds that will be sent to 2 men the next day. 10 seconds that will eventually end in murder. But in that moment, we don't know any of that. We just dance. March 9, 11:23 a.m. Gordon Wells, the owner of Harborview Hall, sits in his office reviewing security footage. It's routine. Something he does after every major event. He sees us dancing. Sees the kiss. He recognizes Eleanor immediately. Major donor. Longtime supporter. A respected name. But he pauses when he looks at me. He zooms in. Rewinds. Watches again. I'm young. Much younger than her. Lawrence knows Margaret's sons through business. Brent has rented the venue multiple times. So Lawrence does something he tells himself is helpful. He clips the footage and emails it to Gregory. Saw your mother at our gala last night. Thought you should see this. He doesn't say it out loud, but he knows he's stirring something. March 9, 11:47 a.m. Brent opens the email at his office. Clicks the video. Watches it. His expression shifts from confusion to shock to fury. He calls Scott immediately. You need to see this, he says. Check your email. Scott watches. Who is that, he asks. I don't know, Brent says. But we're finding out. Brent calls Margaret. Mom, we need to talk. Today. Her stomach drops. She already knows why. About what, she asks. You know what. We'll be there at 6. He hangs up. That evening, Brent and Scott arrive at her house. Both of them stiff. Tight-lipped. Brent holds up his phone and plays the video. Who is he? Eleanor takes a breath. His name is Ryan. He's someone I've been seeing. Seeing? Brent snaps. Mom, he's a child. He's 29. Scott adds. You're 76. I'm aware, she says calmly. How long has this been going on? Almost a year. A year? Brent says. And you didn't tell us? When would I, she asks. You haven't visited in 8 months. That's not fair. Scott says. Isn't it, she replies. When was the last time either of you came over just to spend time with me? We have lives, Brent says. Jobs. Families. And I have nothing, she fires back. Brent leans forward. This guy, Ryan, what does he want? He wants me to be happy. He wants your money. He's never asked for anything. That's how scams work, Brent says. Mom, be reasonable. Get out. What? Get out of my house. We're trying to protect you. No, she says. You're trying to control me. Leave. Gregory's face turns red. If you don't end this, we'll take action. What action? We'll have you declared incompetent. I've already been evaluated, she says. 2 doctors. Both certified I'm fully competent. Scott looks stunned. Why would you even need evaluations unless? Unless I changed my will, she says. Yes. I did. She tells them she signed it on March 5. Brent stiffens. Mom, don't. Most of the estate goes to cancer research, she continues. In memory of Ryan's late wife, Marissa. Scott. Silence. You each get $500,000, she says. Down from almost $3 million. Brent finally speaks. His late wife, he scoffs. How convenient. He lost her to cancer at 27, Eleanor says. He didn't even tell me for weeks. He's not manipulating anyone. They leave. But as they walk toward the car, Brent turns to Scott. We need to stop this. March 10, Brent.And Scott meet at Gregory's house. Their wives are there too. Valerie. Scott is furious. How much is she leaving him? 500,000, Brent says. And the rest goes to some cancer fund. That money is ours, Valerie. Scott snaps. We've waited years. We have plans. Scott's wife, Allison. Scott, is quieter. Can we challenge the will? She's been evaluated, Brent says. It's airtight. Valerie. Scott leans forward slightly. Then we make sure he doesn't get it. The room goes still. What are you saying? Scott asks. If Malik disappears, Valerie. Scott says carefully, Mom would need us again. She'd rely on us. She might change the will back. No one answers right away. Brent finally speaks. What if we offer him money? Pay him to leave. You think he'd take it? Scott asks. Brent shrugs. Everyone has a price. March 12, 3:47 p.m. I finish my last training session of the day and walk out to the parking lot. As I reach my car, two men step out from beside a black Mercedes. Malik Turner. I stop walking and turn around. Who are you? The older one steps forward. Brent Carlisle. Carlisle. Margaret's son. This is my brother. Scott. My body stiffens immediately. What do you want? 5 minutes, Brent says, already impatient. Let's not waste time. He doesn't ease into it. We know about you and our mother. We've seen the video from the gala. I nod. Okay. And? We want you to end it. That's not going to happen. Brent opens an envelope and flashes what's inside. Thick stacks of cash. $100,000, he says. Walk away. Never contact her again. I stare at him. You're trying to bribe me. Call it whatever you want. I'm not interested. Brent exhales sharply. Fine. 200,000. No. Name your price. There isn't one, I say. I love Margaret. Gregory's expression hardens. You love a 76-year-old woman, he says. Do you hear how that sounds? I hear it, I reply. I just don't care. She makes me happy. You're making a mistake. Scott says quietly. No, I tell him. You are. Your mother is incredible. And instead of being glad she found someone who actually cares, you're standing here trying to buy me off. I get into my car and drive away. March 12, 8:14 p.m. Brent makes a phone call. The number belongs to a man named Mason Rourke. 41 years old. Former Army Special Forces. Discharged under circumstances no one ever quite explains. Now he works as a security consultant. Brent knows his reputation. Julian handles problems. They meet later that night in a dark bar. Brent doesn't use the word kill. He says the problem needs to go away. Permanently. Julian understands exactly what that means. You know what you're asking, Julian says. Yes, Brent replies. 75,000. Half now. Half when it's done. Deal. You never hear from me again. Understood. March 13, Brent withdraws $40,000 in cash. Tells the bank it's for home renovations. That afternoon, He meets Julian and hands it over. Julian asks for details. Everything. My address. My gym schedule. My car. My license plate. Brent gives him all of it. March 14th through the 17th, Julian watches me. He learns my routine. Early mornings at the gym. Afternoons at Margaret's house. Evenings training clients. Home around 8. Small apartment building. Underground garage. No cameras inside. That's his opening. March 18th, 7:30 p.m. Julian waits behind a concrete pillar in my garage. At 7:52, my car pulls in. I park. Grab my gym bag. Walk toward the elevator. I never see him until it's too late. He moves fast and silent. One hard blow to the back of my head. I go down, stunned but still conscious. I try to fight. He gets behind me. Locks his arm around my neck. I struggle. Scratch his arm. But he's stronger. Trained. My vision fades. My arms stop working. Everything goes dark. He holds the choke another full minute. Then lets go. He checks my pulse. Nothing. At 8:03 p.m. Malik Turner is dead. Julian works quickly. Brings his van around. Loads my body. Covers it with a tarp. No one sees him leave. He drives 40 miles to a remote patch of woods he scouted earlier. No trails. No houses. He digs a shallow grave. By 10:30 p.m. I'm buried under dirt and branches. March 19th, 6 a.m. Julian calls Gregory. It's done. You're sure? Yes. No evidence. The rest? Same place. Tomorrow. March 19th, 9:30 a.m. Eleanor calls my phone. Voicemail. She calls again. Voicemail. She texts. No response. By noon, she's scared. She calls the gym. I didn't show up. That never happens. She calls my apartment building. No one's seen me. The panic sets in. March 20th. Still nothing. Eleanor calls the police and reports me missing. They take the report, but they're calm. Young man. Less than 48 hours. Probably needed space. No, she says. Malik won't do that. They promise to look into it. March 20th, 1 p.m. Her doorbell rings. Brent.And. Scott. Mom, we need to talk. I'm not in the mood, she says. Maliki's missing. That's why we're here, Brent says. He's not missing. He left. She stares at them. What? We offered him money, Brent says. He took it. Her blood runs cold. That's a lie. It's not. Scott says. We offered $200,000. He accepted and left. Eleanor tries calling me again. Voicemail. She looks at her sons. When? She asks. March 12th, Brent says. At the gym. He didn't hesitate. Something breaks inside her. She doesn't believe them. But what if it's true? They leave. That night, at 11:47 p.m. Eleanor has a cardiac event. Chest pain. Trouble breathing. She calls 911. Doctors diagnose her with Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Broken heart syndrome. The stress damages her heart. She's hospitalized for 3 days. Released March 23rd. She goes home to an empty house. No Ryan. No sons. Nothing. March 24th through the 27th, she barely eats. barely sleeps. She replays our year together. And what her sons told her. That I took the money. That I left. What else is she supposed to believe? March 27, Eleanor Carlisle. Carlisle suffers a massive cardiac arrest. She dies alone in her bedroom. The housekeeper finds her at 9 a.m. Official cause of death, cardiac arrest secondary to Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. She dies believing I abandoned her. Never knowing I refused the money. Never knowing I was murdered. Never knowing her sons lied to her. She dies believing she was foolish. April 10, Hank Brewer. Scott finds my body in the woods. By noon, police identify me. Homicide. The investigation moves fast. I was reported missing March 20th. Last seen March 18th, detectives ask the obvious question. Who benefits? They interview Margaret's attorney. Learn about the will. The changes. The clause. They learn about the conflict. April 11th, Brent.And. Scott are interviewed separately. Both say they haven't seen me since the gala video. But phone records tell a different story. Brent called a burner phone on March 12th. That burner pinged near my apartment on March 18th. Bank records show Brent withdrew $40,000 in cash on March 13th. No permits. No renovations. No contractors. April 15th, police traced the burner phone to a convenience store. Security footage identifies Mason Rourke, a known associate of Gregory. April 18th, police raid Julian's apartment. They find $37,500 in cash. Notes on my schedule. The burner phone. Mason Rourke is arrested.